Welcome to RATS, Racing Against Time for Students in Pathology. In today's class, we shall be seeing a few topics related to neoplasia, the importance of which is given in the enclosure. It can be forming part of an essay or a short note or an ultra short question. The first one will be immunohistochemistry. The word is a little complex, but let us make it as simplified as possible. These are some terms that we should know. Immunology basically means antigen antibody. An antigen is an external substance which, when introduced into the body, triggers the formation of an antibody. What then is the antibody? The antibody is an immunoglobulin produced by the immune system, mainly the plasma cells, against the antigens. So this is what basically immunology is. And when I say antibody, it can be polyclonal. That is, it acts against many an antigen. It is not very specific. Or it can be monoclonal, which is specific against a particular antigen. Today in diagnosis, both in microbiology as well as in pathology, these monoclonal antibodies rule the roost. Immunology is some area where even angels fear to tread. And these are a couple of giants on the screen. You find that they are probably contemporaries having lived in the same period. Paul Ehrlich and Mechnikov. The excellent work of theirs drew them the Nobel Prize. And this is the villa of Paul Ehrlich and also his grave at Frankfurt in Berlin. First, let us see what a monoclonal antibody is. An antibody, as we had said, acts against an antigen. In fact, this acts against a specific epitope. I shall be showing you a picture of this. Now, what happens in this picture? An antigen is being injected into a laboratory mouse rather, and it produces antibodies by means of its B cells. The B cells are activated and antibodies are being produced against the specific antigen. But then you need a constant production of these, for which we need some cells which will be perennially multiplying, which are the myeloma cells. These are in turn produced from another laboratory animal, such as a rabbit. These produce the myeloma cells, and then there is a fusion of these B cells and the myeloma cells, which is called a hybridoma. So you get a hybrid means it is a combination. You get a hybridoma. And that leads to the antibody production, which is highly specific against this antigen. Since it acts against a particular clone of antigen, it is called a monoclonal antibody. So this is a beautiful self-descriptive picture which I would like you people to draw. Not very difficult at all. And what is this epitope? It is just a small fragment of an antigen against which you find that there is the antibody that is produced. This is a sequential picture which I would like you people to understand. Here is a degraded protein or an antigen. It can be a bacteria, it can be a damaged cell, it can be a cancer cell, etc. That is fixed. And Against this, you find that there are antibodies. What we do is we make an antibody get attached to it. And after the fusion, sometimes if required, there can be a secondary antibody. This is an antibody to the antibody itself. And finally, we cannot see any antigen-antibody complexes at all. After all, this is routinely happening in your body. Are you able to see the complexes? No. In order to see that or visualize it, we will have to add a coloring substrate to it. A coloring substrate which will be giving some kind of a color and we can see it. We will not be able to see the antigen, antibody, etc. But we will be seeing only this colored product ultimately. So this is called a primary antibody. This is a secondary antibody. And we have got different mechanisms. One is called the peroxidase antiperoxidase method, PAP, the coloring substrate. So these are the things that you people should be able to remember. The diagram, if it is a little complex, we shall be having a simpler one. So what are the various technical methods in immunohistochemistry? One is peroxidase antiperoxidase method. One is avidin biotin technique. The avidin biotin is another method by which we can do this immunohistochemistry. And technically there are different ones called as direct method, indirect method, sandwich method. You need not go into the intricacies of this, but please do remember there is a direct method, indirect method, and sandwich method. So look at this particular one. It is a tumor. We have attached a particular antibody. It has got attached, but then it is the coloring substrate. Look at the C over here, which is showing this kind of a brown color. That means it is positive for that particular one. That particular antigen is present in the tumor. Therefore, we make a diagnosis. So look at this again. You find there is an antigen, there is an antibody, and then there can be a secondary antibody, and this is being colored. There is a coloring substance. Please do remember these steps and write it. This particular picture I would like you people to very much draw. Very simplistic picture. Now, you find that for each of the tumor, there is a specific antibody, monoclonal antibody. So, and in our body, you find that there are hundreds of tumors that are possible. So here itself, I am finding one list of tumors, and in order to diagnose these, specific monoclonal antibodies can be applied and made use of. So this particular list, I would like you people to kindly by heart. For example, prostatic carcinoma, there can be prostate-specific antibody. In the breast, there is an estrogen receptor, progesterone receptor antibodies. Yolk sac tumor, there is an alpha fetoprotein. Please do not underestimate it. Alpha fetoprotein itself is a question for you people. For the lymphomas, you have got the various panel of markers. Cytokeratin is used for a carcinoma. Rarely it can be false positive also. Synaptophysin, the word itself, synaptophysin, it indicates neuroendocrine tumors. And S100 is a protein that can be used for peripheral nerve tumors. So this is a little too much for the undergraduates, but it is worth memorizing. I have given it as in a very summarized form. So these will be the monoclonal antibody, which can be a question. Immunohistochemistry can be a question, and the lab diagnosis of neoplasia is also a question for us. The second one will be the tumor markers. Tumor markers are a little different from the monoclonal antibody. Let us see the definition. It is a biological substance that is synthesized and released by the cancer cell, and it is found in increased amount in the blood or the other body fluids. When you take the blood of a particular patient, you find that the specific marker is increased, then it can indicate a tumor. So the presence of these or the increase of these indicate a tumor. And this is again a group. They can be under various subheadings. They can be oncofetal antigens, carbohydrates, hormones, proteins, enzymes, receptors, DNA markers, and miscellaneous. These are not tumor markers, but these are the natures of the tumor markers. So look at this particular condition. I hope you people are able to identify this organ. It is a pancreas. And in the pancreas, there has been one hemorrhagic area. This is a tumor for which we can be using a tumor marker. This particular heading, I would like you people to kindly memorize. So these are the various biochemical substances. It can be oncofetal protein, and the markers are given here. Carcinoembryonic antigen, it by itself is a question for you people. Alpha fetoprotein is a question. And carcinoembryonic antigen is positive in a number of tumors, lung, pancreas, bladder, etc. So it is not very specific. Alpha fetoprotein, on the contrary, it is positive for a liver cancer or testicular carcinoma. In the carbohydrates, mucin glycoprotein is positive in the ovary, and CA19-9 is positive for pancreatic tumors. Prostate specific antigen, obviously it is positive for prostatic carcinoma. Neuron specific enolase, obviously the word neuron means it can be a lung tumor or it can be a primitive neurogenic tumor. Hormones, human chorionic gonadotropin. You would have heard of this in your first year itself, increased in choriocarcinoma. And the BRCA1 and BRCA2, we shall be seeing about these in the breast cancer. They are positive. Calcitonin for medullary carcinoma of thyroid. Beta-2 microglobulin for multiple myeloma. And alkaline phosphatase for bone. So like this, there are a number of substances, but at least this particular tabular column, I would like you people to kindly memorize. This slide itself is showing sheets of plasma cells. And what is this plasma cell? I am finding a ovoid cell. It has got an eccentric nucleus, and this is the cytoplasm. So this is the cell in a case of multiple myeloma. And it can be diagnosed by means of beta-2 microglobulin. So that will be the use of the tumor marker, the biological marker, the response to treatment, etc. can be measured. What are the advantages and disadvantages? They are basically indicators of tumor. They may not be the ultimate diagnosis, but then they are strong indicators. They also show a response to treatment or prognosis. The disadvantages are, as I had mentioned earlier, they are not specific. And sometimes they can be found in inflammatory conditions also. For example, chronic prostatitis, it can be increased. Prostatic carcinoma also, prostate specific antigen can be increased. So I would like you people to kindly by heart it. I had shown in very few slides worth for you to memorize. So this is a tumor of the large intestine over here. And as I told you, carcinoembryonic antigen can be positive, but it is positive in other tumors as well. That is a disadvantage. The last one in this class is the paraneoplastic syndromes. We had seen two earlier. One is monoclonal antibodies or immunohistochemistry. Second one is tumor marker. Third one is paraneoplastic syndrome. And what is this paraneoplastic syndrome? It is a heterogeneous group of disorders. And it is caused by certain substances which are elaborated by the tumor cells. So they will be causing not only different but an alarming clinical sign or symptom. And they are independent of tumor invasion or metastasis. For example, you are finding an increase in a particular reaction. The tumor cell would need not have gone to that particular site. It can be present in other metabolic disorders, and sometimes it can be used as an indicator for treatment to the tumor. the paraneoplastic syndromes. So they are certain substances which are elaborated by the tumors. See what is happening over here. This is the tumor, the list of tumors I have mentioned. And you find that the syndromes can be either endocrine or vascular, dermatological, osseous, neuromuscular, etc. And it is because of certain substances. Just one example, in endocrine, there can be a Cushing syndrome like feature, and that is because of adrenocorticotropic hormone which can be released by the tumor. And the tumors can be either a small cell carcinoma lung or a pancreatic carcinoma. Kidney, it produces the erythropoietin, as a result of which the patient will be having a polycythemia. In ovarian cancer, etc., there can be an insulin-like substance. Patient can go in for hypoglycemia. A carcinoid tumor, it is a little complex. We shall be seeing it later. It produces serotonin or bradykinin, and there is a syndrome of low BP, etc., which is called the carcinoid syndrome. Hypercoagulable state in a pancreatic carcinoma, it will produce a venous thrombosis. And these are the factors in a gastric carcinoma, and they will produce what is called as acanthosis nigricans. I shall show you what it is in the next picture. Bronchogenic carcinoma, hypertrophic osteoarthropathy. There used to be a grading of clubbing, and grade 4 is osteoarthropathy, which is classical of bronchogenic carcinoma. In thymoma, you find that there can be a myasthenia gravis. It is an immunological mechanism. So this particular list also we will have to memorize. There is no other go. Any of it can be asked as an MCQ. Look at this one, the Trousers syndrome. Paradoxically, he was a person who diagnosed that he had malignancy. So there is a migratory thrombophlebitis. There was clotting, it disappeared, then reappeared in a particular place, and he said, I am having a cancer. And he did have a cancer. So later on, when he was having a gastric cancer also, he diagnosed it in himself. That is called Trousers syndrome. Polycythemia is an increase in the RBCs. So these are the RBCs over here, and this can occur in a tumor called the renal cell carcinoma. Renal means kidney. So this is a kidney. I hope you people are able to identify the pyramids, cortex, medulla, etc. But then there is a very large tumor at the lower pole called the renal cell carcinoma. It will produce erythropoietin, because of which patient can be having polycythemia. Acanthosis nigricans, common in gastrointestinal tumors. This is a picture of a gastric cancer. There is an ulcerative lesion, but then the patient has got pigmentation in the armpits, and that is called as acanthosis nigricans. Probably nigricans means black or so. There is another syndrome called the carcinoid syndrome, and that is because of a lot of substances such as histamine, serotonin, etc. being released, and they will lead to vasodilatation and blushing. Look at this patient's face. You find that there is a pink color because of the vasodilatation, and it is caused by a tumor, well circumscribed. It is not highly malignant, and the specimen is the lung, but the substance it produces plays havoc. There is a fall in BP, flushing and blushing, etc., which is called the carcinoid syndrome. And finally, the Cushing syndrome produced by ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone. So this is a buffalo hump that they say, which is common in Cushing syndrome. And it can be in a case of wart cell cancer of the lung. You find that the tumor cells are all like this, and it is called a wart cell cancer because the cells resemble the wart grain. So it has got a similar appearance. There can be a nuclear grooving that can be seen. It is a wart cell cancer. So I hope you people will be able to recollect the various examples and write. They can be MCQs, or even otherwise you will score marks. Gracias.